Hey, what's going on? It's your boy MC Junior coming to you live with this one. Straight Talk Volume 2. Right now, I'm at MARKIA Studios, and I'm sitting here with my boy MC RUDEBOY by my side.
What's happening, everyone?
And the one and only CDB, Gary Pinto.
Yeah.
My man, DJ Puppet, the Puppet Master.
Yes, right.
And this guy behind, Phil Haddad. The man with the moves of the 90s. And my cousin DJ DINESH kicking it back with the ones and twos. We're coming to you from MARKIA Studios, Volume 2, and this is Straight Talk. I'm going to start it off. So, boys, last week we talked about the industry, the nightclub industry, and how it was in the 90s.
Yeah, man.
But I brought in some extra guests to help me now because, obviously, we see it from a different point of view, yeah? As DJing and MCing, I guess we're with the crowd, but it's a different experience for us. And I guess from an industry point of view, Gary with CDB, Gary with your music in the 90s, you influence a lot of us, right? And that's the truth.
For sure.
Yeah. I had your haircut.
I did. Man, I got lockdown haircut now.
I love that haircut.
Yes, got your record.
Yeah.
And again, the guy standing up, you want to come around the front so you can see the camera? This guy right here,
Yeah.
standing there,
The light's reflecting off my head.
Phil Haddad. Now, you were dancing in the clubs throughout the 90s, and you killed everyone who... No, if I say Phil Haddad, they know your name.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
And still current. That's the thing. Phil is still at the top of his game.
Look, I've been blessed, man, honestly. I mean, we all started out together. CDB was actually a dance group before they were a vocal group. And Puppet was in a group as well.
Yes.
I had a group as well. So we all used to compete against each other. And it's a different scene now. Like, even in the dance scene... Now, when you have a hip-hop comp, it's like they hire out a full venue like Festival Hall or you know, massive events, whereas back then it was all in the clubs.
Yeah.
You know
Chases,
what I mean?
billboards.
It was raw, yeah. It was totally raw. But it was on New Jack Swing back then. And the way dances are today is different in the clubs compared to back then. Back then, it was mainly guys freestyling, and you'd kill it on a set for like 15 minutes, but it's all double time. It's all New Jack Swing, double time. Whereas today, it's all girls dressed up, and I'm not knocking it, it's good, but they don't dance like we. It's a different vibe. It's different music. Music is different. The feeling of the music was different. The soul of the music was different.
They didn't have phones back then in their hands.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They enjoyed the show.
You want to make a conversation, you actually say hi. You know, so it's a totally different vibe.
You know, you briefly mentioned something before about a reunion at Billboards, is that right?
Yeah, it's funny because you guys, CDB, did a gig probably about 2.5 years ago, and KPS was supporting, so we went down. That was good. It was good, like good reunion. But I used to freestyle at Billboards like every week. Well, all the clubs, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, everything. And we'd be up on the podiums. You'd have 4 main podiums around the dance floor, and every week you see your usual patrons and usual, you know, everyone's there, but they'd all have their spots. You know, everyone dances. These people dance on that side. These people. It's just their little bit of real estate, I guess. But at that night, coming back, and I was standing back. Funny enough, where I used to freestyle mainly, and I was just looking at the dance floor, and you would see those same people 20 years later in the same spot, like just reliving that nostalgia of all back then, and you know, obviously a little bit older. You know, a few kids later, but everyone was still having a good time just reliving those moments they used to savor on a Saturday night. But nothing changes that. You can't take that away.
And I guess this comes to this man right here, DJ Puppet. You and MC RUDEBOY obviously have a great relationship because you've worked together for I don't know how many years.
A lot of years.
Yeah, especially mid-late 90s, 2000s.
Yeah.
RUDEBOY was a consistent backup. He was always there, reliable. He hyped the crowd up like no one else. Everyone knew RUDEBOY. He got the job done. It was like really good times. You know, it's different now, but back then I think there was a lot more unity. People followed R&B nights. They were kind of loyal to certain DJs, certain dancers. That all kind of started to drift away, I guess, after the 2000s, but... when music became more pop, but back then it was actually like underground, you know. You couldn't go into mainstream and hear R&B on the radio on Fox and that sort of stuff, so it made it a little bit more special, I think, during those years.
It's crazy.
And the music was different back then as well. Like it was just
Nice and raw.
I know I'm old.
Nice and raw. Don't worry about mixed ends.
The chord movements are all different.
It is,
They're all
yes.
gospel-based chord movements.
Yeah.
The stuff now is the same 4 chords.
You should know as well because you've been through that as well, isn't it? Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's really different.
Jam and Lewis, all the stuff that they produced and all the stuff for Jackson's, and it was like really heavy. Teddy Riley, the beautiful chords
Melody,
and all this.
But even the vibe to choreograph too, it's different. The funny thing is, and I was having this conversation this week, a lot of this generation listened to the 90s R&B and hip-hop, but they weren't even born then. You know what I mean? And a lot of the songs after 2000, you guys know as DJs and everything, a lot of the songs after 2000 has a 6-month lifespan. Whereas the 90s R&B is still... And it's the substance of the song. It's still relevant. It's because it talks about stuff that's real. You know, like a guy you like, a girl you like, a breakup. You know, hanging out with the boys, hanging out with the girls, the weekend, the
Who you
vibe.
taking home?
All of that. But nowadays it's just about the beats, and there's no depth in the context. There's nothing like that. So it's shallow. It's like a.
I still
like
play
an
the
egg
first
with no
album
yolk.
at home. Like I always keep bumping it all the time. So it's still last over there, you know. Compared to the stuff they come up with these days and all, it's just totally different.
It took a year. Like for those records took years to make. So now the turnover's so quick. But even the dude at Spotify said, he goes, you got to be producing stuff faster than as soon as you release a record. Now they go, what's next? Back then you would save it. You'd read the credits.
It was a story, wasn't it? That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But like 2-3 years before albums come out. Now it's like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone the other day about the music in the early 90s with the whole New Jack stuff, and it's still kind of weird that a lot of those tracks sound like ballads, but they're up-tempo. So there's something in those tones that even Teddy did that made you feel like you were kind of on the floor dancing to a love song, but at the same time you can still get hyped to it.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
And I think that was the magic of, you know, that music era. Like
it's that vibe they set with the production and all
like
that
tracks
stuff.
like, you know, I Like the Way High Five, Remember the Time, they all got that sort of sad, almost, you know.
But then you can just grab a girl and say you come out the dance floor.
But even artists of today draw from that. Like speaking of I Like the Way, Usher released a track I think early this year or last year. Same structure as that song. The intro and everything.
Like even
I was like,
your production as well. Like he combines the old with the new as well, right? Sample a bit of Ralph T and all that stuff. Like some of the stuff was really
that's
really
the thing, because I mean, kind of speaking as the ambassador of the new generation, and again, like I mean, I grew up around all of you at the same time, so I was heavily influenced by all of you. I find now that a lot of the 90s like R&B joints are being remade into house music now. Like a lot of them, like the J-Lo, like If You Have My Love is a house song now. Okay. Right. And so it's finding like even Turn Me On, that what's his name? Kevin Little? Same thing. So everyone's doing remakes of it now. I kind of put it down to more of the content, where I feel like now, I guess as society has, you know, progressed further on, we've become a bit more, I guess, explicit. And I think that's where the music has kind of changed, because if you think of Teddy Riley, you think of love songs. You don't think about like smashing the chick, right? You kind of just think of the love stuff, right? He said like when they did the Dangerous album, I think he spent 2 weeks in New York, and they just went out and just had a good time with him and his girlfriend. It was just like I wrote all these songs for Michael Jackson because of an experience I had with this chick. And you think, you know, remember the time, she drives me wild, you know, all that was just on like this love thing, but. The issue is now, I think the love has gone from, especially in R&B, it's not love no more.
Where is the love?
It literally is just like, you know, smash and dash, you know, and I think that influences the music. And it's like you were saying, especially now, because I think the good thing, technology is great now that, you know, we have the ability to put out music at whatever, you know, frequency we want to put it out. Problem is, we're putting it out at whatever frequency we want to put it out, because it's, you know, there's just so much like flooding of music now that you don't know like what to focus your attention on. Like I've got artists that I work with that say, hey, I want to release a song every week. Like every week. Like, you know, then all of a sudden, you know, my old school mind thinking, well, how are we going to promote the song? How are we going to, you know, because then all of a sudden now you've got like 7 days to really hit your mark. And what they're saying is that you've got 24 hours once it's released to really make sure it goes viral. Wow. If it doesn't hit in that time, on to the next one.
Wow.
But see, that's the thing, going on technology, right? As much as it's been a blessing in all areas of life, it's actually disabled a lot of things. Like back then, the lack of technology sifted out the quality of an artist and not so. Do you know what I'm saying? Like back then, if you were like an awesome artist, you'd hear about it through word of mouth. Whereas now it's just whacked online. And so you have to sift through a lot of the rubbish that's out there. But you have like artists like Jodeci and all of that back then never knew about it unless you heard word of mouth, and then the tracks would come out and you're like, oh, wait for it.
Yeah.
Videos back then, you'd have to wait till Rage was on or it's getting released and then you try and record that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now it just drops on your phone and it's over with. You've lost that depth, you've lost that
connection
substance.
to it.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, back in the day, I used to think, going to Central Station Records was like it was an outing. You go there and you stand there for 6 hours, by the listening block. It was. And so that element of, like, I think value is gone because it's so easily accessible now.
Yes.
So the way I look at it is now, in our current climate, it is really great for the unsigned artist. It's fantastic for the person that doesn't have a label behind them, that doesn't have promotion. If all they've got is a social media account, they've got Instagram and they've got Twitter. Great, because they can get their music out without having to rely on a major. But back then, if you weren't going through a major, it was really difficult to kind of be heard or be seen. That's where it became tough.
Yeah, some of the neo soul stuff that's coming out now is good. It's really interesting. You get some really, the Snow Allegra and the
Summer Walker.
And there's another couple, Rachel Claudia.
Another guy you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sabrina
Claudio and all those kind of guys, which is nice and quality stuff. But the more mainstream R&B is harder to find
Yeah.
So what made you go from a dance group to a singing group? Like,
for us, Andrew De Silva joined our group. So we were doing, we were doing competitions.
They were one of our main rivals. We were good friends. CDB's up on there.
So they won trips to America. Brigade won all these things,
Okay. Was it like a You Got Served battle that happened?
He was amazing. He was doing with top hats and chairs and canes, everything.
We mixed it up a bit.
100%.
Do you find, obviously, with your career as a dancer, right? You're just not doing clubs. Now you're doing a whole array of things
and all sorts of stuff.
It's well, as Gary would know, as an artist, as you guys know, as DJs, and you got to keep evolving. Otherwise, you just get lost in translation, basically. So, there's Dion and Peter Harrington. We all started off, good mates of mine as well. And then what happened was they went and did full-time training, and then full-time training got them into stuff like musicals and all that sort of stuff. So, you've got to have options. Do you know what I mean? You got to be versatile. Otherwise, you can be a specialist in your field. But unless you have options as well, then you're limited to what you can do. So at 25, after seeing them jump into full-time training, I thought, okay, I better try it out. So I better go and do that. So I got offered to go on and cover some teachers at Dance World where I trained. And then they offered me to do the course the following year. So I did full-time training for 3 years. Jazz, ballet, tap, contemporary, all that sort of stuff. But I started at 25. Kids are starting at 10. Do you know what I mean? Or 18, 19. So for me, it was late. But it was like learning how to walk all over again. Because in hip-hop, everything is grounded, everything is double balanced, everything is earthy. Then all of a sudden, in ballet and jazz and all that, you have to restructure your body, pull up everything in different techniques, different muscle groups. You're turning on the ball of your feet. You're not turning flat. So it's literally like learning how to walk all over again. It's like singing. If you specifically master your voice in one thing, then you want to take it over to a classical field, you're working different parts of the anatomy to get those notes or get that sound, get that this. So it's the same, but in a physical manner. Once that happened, then I got into my first musical, second musical, but I was still training and teaching and choreographing. So if we were all in the same class, we'd be all in the same class for jazz, ballet, tap, contemporary, whatever. But then when it came to hip-hop, and we walk in for hip-hop, I'm your teacher. So I was teaching my own class. And that's how I paid my way through my course.
Fantastic.
But through that, I was still freestyling in the clubs. I was still doing club gigs. I was still doing this. I was still doing that. So you hustle.
Absolutely.
And back then, that's what we did. We all hustled. When you really think about it, technology, like I said, wasn't given to us. We had to hustle. We had to grind.
And Roger, we was just mentioned him before, he was he knew how to hustle, and we learned how to hustle from him. Yeah, really, absolutely. He was friggin' amazing. He walked into Sony when we were young, and they go, what is this R&B group? What do they do? And he goes, they draw 1,500 people to a pool party. They draw these kids.
that was
we didn't draw anybody. He was getting people to a pool party, you know. He's got these kids all around Dandenong, come and see this group. No one he cared we were there. They were there to have a pool party. And he was telling them, you know.
So Oasis, right?
Yeah. So he would tell them all these things to make them, and so that taught us, all of us, to go, okay, so what do we lever to get to that next thing? What do we, you know, when we go into a writing session in LA or whatever. So, okay, you're doing this. That's how you got to build yourself up to go to that second. So you do that, and you make it count. When you get there, you kill, so that they go, okay, let's go more. But you need to get in the door. And Roger taught me, I know, he taught a lot of us that, how to just get in the door. Just to
Get your foot in there, let's go from there.
We just the value of it too.
We hardly had to manage, you know, as DJ's career because of what Roger provided for us. But it doesn't mean that we got it easy. It was pretty, like, you had a schedule like Gary was talking about, even for DJs. It was like, you know, this time you're doing that. And then at this time we're doing flies on cars. They're having passes out the front of schools.
Beaches, everywhere doing flyers as
exactly.
well.
And now it's all Facebook.
Morning. Yeah, absolutely. So,
but that's the thing. I think that hustle taught us how to have sustainability.
That's right.
Whereas a lot of this generation don't have that. It's given, so you don't know you don't know the value of a dollar, basically. If I sum it up. Whereas
We're trying to figure out the value of a stream. That's the problem.
Oh man.
How many likes?
And we still don't know what the value of a stream is. That's the hardest part now, because there's no physical like CD or, you know, anything that I can give out. So it's just like it's all digital. So someone else determines the value of it, unfortunately. But Gary, I actually wanted to talk to you just real quick. I wanted to find out, like, from the early days of CDB, could you explain like what the writing process was like, how that was like within the group?
So from the early days, Andrew De Silva came in and came into Midnight and became a part of the group, and he had a bunch of songs already, right? So we were young kids who were dancers and singers, and we sort of sung his songs, and so that first album was kind of 80% Andrew's songs. So we'd go and sing it, and we'd write a couple of things, and Brad wrote a song, I think back then was on the first album. No, back then was the second album. We'd sort of, write a couple of things with the Rock Melons and whatever, but predominantly Andrew was the machine, the real body of songwriting.
He still is the machine.
Oh, he's a monster. He's a freak. He's
a
height. And so the second album came along, we all started writing more and sort of writing with Andrew Klippel and all these different kind of entities. And when the times that we needed a single, Let's Groove came out, and we needed a B-side, so we're like, this is all right. So we're all writing a B-side, and I think my name on the B-side was named David Tintle. My name was David Tintle. I never collected the money from that.
David Tinto.
That's a really bad typo, huh? That's not even close.
It's shocking. Someone said Gary Pinto, he's David Tintle. So all these guys, we started, progressing. It was You'll Be Mine on the thing. So it was, because Let's Groove did so well, it was a double A side. So that made a lot of money, but I still have to.
There's some David Tintle somewhere in the world. Hey, thank you, Afro. This is awesome.
But as we grew as songwriters and musicians, we started sort of collaborating with different people. And Brad learned how to play the guitar. He wrote Back Then as his first song, and we're like,
it's a brilliant song.
Amazing song.
It's an amazing song. Yeah,
So we started growing and developing, and then expanding into our second album.
Wow. And so from that, I remember, I think the name CDB, or the meaning of it, changed over time. I know that it ended up being Create, Dream, Believe. What did it start as?
Critical Deaf Boys.
Yeah.
What was it?
Critical Deaf Boys.
Yeah.
Critical Deaf Boys.
critically, I think.
Critically Deaf Boys.
Critical Deaf Boys. That's it.
That's like that's the new Jack's thing. That's what
I always thought it was Central Dating Boys.
That's Central Dating Boys. Central Dating Boys.
Remember the competition on I think it was TV Week?
Yes.
They had a competition. What do you think CDB stands for? Everyone just put it in. They're trying to win. I don't know if anyone won.
No, I don't even know. We got all these. We said we reply to everybody, but we get bagfuls of these things. We just couldn't reply to them. But in the end, because of Critically Deaf Boys, it was the puck. That puck that Jace used to draw and all that kind of graffiti stuff. My brother and Jace from RDC was a monster, and he still is.
He's still a good artist, isn't he?
Man, he's still killing.
Yeah.
Jaws, Jace, and they're still the top of the game. He taught kind of mentored Brad, and Brad started bombing kind of places, graffiti, and that's where the thing came from. CDB looked like three good letters together. So him and Brennan they're doing bus stops and all this kind of stuff. So one day Mum went to Clayton, you know, going shopping, and Brad was standing against the wall like this.
That's awesome.
Brad.
I did that. The run.
But our parents, because they wanted to encourage my brother and him his graffiti, they said, okay, your bedroom wall, just make it a piece of art. So every friend of ours, all graffiti artists, come on the wall. Just put, you know.
That's the best.
How were your parents? Like, were they encouraging at the time? Because I know you guys were quite young when all this kind of blew up. Like, what was their support like for you?
Amazing, because they're musicians from India, so even all night.
Oh, so they understood it,
Yeah. So we were talking about last night with Mum and Dad, and Cliff came over, one of our friends, a drummer, and they were saying we used to do gigs. Mum and Dad used to do gigs till 3 a.m, then go to sleep for a couple of hours, go to church, and then go to the next afternoon gig all day. They played. Mum and Dad played all night, all morning in India, like non-stop. And they would say on trains, they would take their gear. And in India, they don't stop, right? They'll slow down at the station.
Jump off.
No one wants to let you in because it's packed. So Dad said he would raise the thing. One guy would raise it. The other guy would throw a bass through the window. You know, and they would jump on and sit on their gear. And then, you know, like crazy to do these gigs, you know, way out in Mupur.
Yeah.
So they were happy, you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But you know, the history of the Pintos, I mean, obviously we're Anglo-Indian. That's how our families know each other. But Gary's, is it your uncle? Your dad's uncle?
Yes.
So Harry Pinto and the Rhythm Rockers, right? Now, these guys were like the biggest session band in India at the time. So my dad always goes, you know, Gary, they come from a musical family. His uncle, they used to be the top musicians in India. So I guess that's where it's gone down the track, right?
He came to Australia, Uncle Harry came to Australia with 2 suitcases. One suitcase full of scotch, no clothes.
That's a brown hair right there, man. That's cool. That sounds like
The other suitcase, just cigarettes. Not one piece of clothing. Just scotch and cigarettes.
Balance.
That's currency right there, man.
That's awesome.
That's currency right there. Oh my goodness.
So now that'll be all over border control.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
You gotta pay tax and duty for that stuff now, man. No Curry parents allowing that to happen now, man. No way. Wow.
It's just crazy to see how the musical influences of your uncles have just went down to you and Brad.
Yeah,
And I think, like I spoke to you about this yesterday, a few days ago. Like the influence that came from the Melbourne urban seas, like Abby Joyce and Jabulani.
Yeah.
You know, rest in peace, Abby Joyce. But that guy was like, I call him the godfather of funk in Melbourne. Yeah, and Jabulani in is it the 80s?
Yeah,
Late 80s. Late 80s.
Great story.
Kalimba,
Ebo as well, man.
KPS.
CDB,
James Ingram
KPS.
styles, man.
They were the best. I mean, Stevie Wonder came to their house, man.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Never knew that.
Yes.
Neville Park, man.
I heard that story.
Remember that?
Yeah.
They was on the phone.
It's behind my house, my mum and dad's house. Yeah.
Did you go out that night?
No, I heard about it. My brother Dean told me about it. Yeah.
And
When was that?
They went to the gig, right?
Yeah.
And Steve, one of the aunties called out, Stevie, you must come and have some curry.
Yeah.
and Stevie goes, find that woman.
Yeah.
Went to the house with Michael Jackson's band. Two of the Michael Jackson didn't come; he was too tired.
Yeah.
But 2 whole bands with 2 limousines
Oh,
rocked
wow.
up, and they called Andrew Silver's dad, and they go, Conrad. And they go, hey, Conrad, at 1 a.m. Stevie Wonder's in our lounge room. Come over. And Conrad goes, shut up, you idiot. I hung up. Oh,
Prank call.
No way.
Next morning, what was that called?
yeah.
That's crazy. No mobile phones back then.
That was he.
Yeah, he was there.
What did he say?
Oh, he loved him, man. He was down with all those boys. He used to be with Jabulani and hang out with them. Yeah.
That would have been the best day ever.
Good Casablanca days, mate.
Oh, man.
The good old 21st century and stuff.
Yes.
Dino, my brother Dean, used to hang out with Sylvia Ankin and all them. They used to always do the Jabulani gigs and stuff. Meet up with Peebo and not Peebo, with Gabby. Yeah.
So for the rest of the crew,
I'm just nervous, guys. Starstruck by you guys.
That's the quietest I've heard ever.
I am quiet.
Somebody give him a mic.
So for us, the crew, this includes you as well, Rude Boy.
Yes, man.
Yeah, just going off that Stevie Wonder story. Anyone else have any like really crazy encounters with celebrities in their time of doing what they're doing?
What you look at me for? Gary's just like, sure.
You guys are all.
I guess we were playing in Sydney one time and at the Cave. We used to go up there quite a bit with the Midnight Band as well. And I saw some massive dude came up and I sort of wasn't looking, and it was Vander Holyfield, the boxer.
Oh, wow.
And he wanted a song and just like gave a handful of cash. He's like, "Can you play that?" I'm like, "What? Yeah, no problem."
Whatever you like.
Yeah, I remember we ran into Wesley Snipes at
Yeah,
Snipes.
I gave him a shoddy Lamborghini. He lit it. And he what's his shit? He threw it out. He threw it out on me, man. And my hand was spinning. That was that service. I'm like, I'll never forget that. There's a VIP quarter sign, bro. I know where you live.
That's it. That's it. That's all the celebrities.
Ice-T came down to Silvies.
When we did the support for Boys to Men at Rod Laver, because we were covering for Culture that night.
Yeah.
And we were coming out onto the stage for tech rehearsal. We were walking down the hallway, and they were just both in the hallway there. And I was leading the Midnight Dancers, and I didn't even click. My mind was just get to the stage, get them through tech run, get everything set, tick, tick, tick. And I just like, excuse me, guys. Just kept walking. Didn't even pay attention. They're like, dude, did you just see? I'm like, what? They're like, that was Boys to Men. I was like, no. Yes. I was like, oh shit. All right then. You got a job to do, man.
Focus.
Focus on the job. I think for me, I did the Countdown Spectacular tour with Molly Meldrum 2006, 2007, and Gadinsky, God rest his soul. But that was cool because all those artists were the artists we grew up listening to. So I remember as a kid working back in New Zealand, I used to work we had a takeaway bar. So listening to all those songs, and then all of a sudden your assistant choreographer and dance captain on this tour for like 6-7 weeks with 120 artists, and you're sitting there at Tech Wrestle and in Newcastle and listening to these songs going, oh my God, I love this song. And all these artists, and it was really good to see and get to know all the artists on a personal level throughout the tour, sitting next to them on the bus or the plane or whatever, and you had everybody. Some of them, it taught me a valuable lesson on how fame can get to some people and how to be humble sort of thing, and I've always had a big issue with respect. With everyone I teach, be humble, be respectful, be grounded, because at the end of the day, when that concert's over, whatever, doesn't matter how good you are or whatever, you all go home to a house and a bed. Doesn't matter what your skill set is. You all go home to a house and a bed. That's just what you do. That's what they do. So, but it was cool. Like I remember, I think the highlight of that was in Perth with Doc Neeson from the Angels and Renee Gayer just sitting in his room, the three of us having a full-on D&M for about 2 hours. Wow. And I was just like, it's just one of those things. And when he passed away, you're like, you realize the significance of somebody of that stature. And you're like, wow. So just moments like that, really. You cherish those sorts of moments.
Yeah.
One of my favourite moments is watching Daniel Merriweather and also Rudy together, performing together, one after each other at Area 61. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And that was the time when Daniel was struggling as well and trying to get his game right.
Yeah.
Trying to find opportunities and stuff. And now, this guy's an iconic jazz. He's just everything. Yeah. Everything under the sun. You know what I mean? And to see Rudy for his game, for what he's done. Yeah. You know what I mean? Great. It's good to see there's all you guys back into the industry and still keeping it strong, man. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's all about moments, man.
All of you. You too, man.
Yes, June.
You too, June. You're the one.
Absolutely,
man. You're
one
the
of
one,
my favorite.
One of my favorite MCs always will be, man. Always will be. And always love to have you side by side with Bobby. Every time we do a gig, man.
Definitely.
That's why we're here. You know that.
We spoke last week about the influences on each other. Yeah. For me, it was Fat Man Scoop. I got a phone call. Hadn't seen him in maybe 10 years, since 2000. And I get this phone call. You're Junior, is that you? And I'm like, I knew the voice straight away. And I'm starting, now that my hairs are standing up. I hadn't held the microphone in the ear. And he's like, yo, I want you on my show. I'm like, what show are you talking about? He goes, Rod Laver Arena tonight. Yeah, this is a prank call. I didn't tell anybody. But Scoop called me and goes, I want you on my show you're going to perform Junior's about to freestyle, because in 2001 when we met him, we were at the Metro underage, he got me on stage and he's like, Junior's about to freestyle, and I just had to bust a rap. And he's always held on to that. And he remembers it. He goes, when you were young, you just had it. You know, I wanted to encourage you. He came and met my parents in Oakley. He came to see them in Oakley and tell them that he reminds me of me.
So
Wicked,
good.
man.
You know, and that's why I'm encouraging him. I want him to be there.
That's awesome, man.
That's one of the favourite things I've ever seen, ever. Any footage of you running out that day. Oh my gosh.
And I was nervous as hell because, anyway, like I said, he was pretty much saying, I want you on my show. And I'm thinking, because I'll meet you backstage at Rod Laver Arena. Now, I haven't got a ticket to Rod Laver Arena. I haven't got the ticket to the show. Security will probably be standing there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go on stage. He goes, no, you're not.
Watch me. I'll be up there soon.
But then his manager came out, you're Junior, right? I go, yeah, come with me. And we walked down the tennis race that the players go into the court. And then DJ Knuckles and him, he's like, he's here. And he tapped me on the shoulder and he just grabbed me and hugged me like a big brother. He said, I want to sit with you and have a chat with you. Tell me what's going on. Every time I've been to Melbourne, you've been not available. But tonight you're back on stage. And then he walked me through to the back wheel the tennis players would normally eat. Now I've got Neo. I've got Big Boy
from Outcast.
All these big, all these big guys.
I was at that show.
They were sitting. They were all sitting there. And he's like, "Hey fellas, this is the guy I was telling you about who's coming on stage with me tonight." And I was like, I was just not starstruck. I was just like, "Thank you, man." You know, because I don't know about you boys, but for me, being introduced to the club scene so early at 16, and you meet these celebrities, they're there, boys to men, you know, and they're just by your side, and everyone else is freaking out. And I'm just like, they're just people.
Yeah, exactly, man.
That's the thing, man.
Celebrities, when you meet a celebrity, you have that one question when we used to MC. We used to always find that one question. Let's say you don't hassle them, you know what I mean? You pop that question, you remember that answer. And somewhere in life, when you're going to do your gig, it will come up to you and it will ignite your performance, if you know what I mean. With the... I found, with Junior found a lot of celebrities. Me, I found a lot of underground Melbourne's teams. I like old schools, you know what I mean? I like nitty gritty grind sort of styles and watching them grow, you know what I mean? That's what I think that encouraged me, my fuel to be an MC. You know what I mean? To be a part of it, just to be that voice around them. You know what I mean? Because I think it needed it at that time, and it sort of like encouraged me. Like when Dusty Puppet do a gig and you know, and one time the music will stuff up because it's old school styles. You know, there's some people global over here. Is the mic still on? And we used to jump in and then beatbox and then do it again, do it again. You know what I mean? And then we used to find up another free, and then all of a sudden this show just comes out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And that was the vibe of. It was just contagious.
Your voice, man, over the PA is unbelievable.
It is.
Bass. Bass. One more time.
I think we were talking about
some these songs, man.
About one signature bass.
Bass. How low can you go? Man. Public Enemy, man.
They always say it's always a challenge. Like when you do meet us, like your quote unquote idol, it can always be like they always say, don't do it because you never want what your impression of them originally was to be tarnished by who they really are. And so I had a situation, it was probably, I think, 2001. One of the guys I was working with, Israel. Israel. Shout out to my guy Israel, man. He was the first one to actually like bring me on board a production team. So we had a group called Elite Fleet. We were all producers and everything. 2001, Ja Rule and Ashanti were in Melbourne. And they were doing their show at Rod Laver. Israel was the support act. Right.
A long time ago.
Valerie as well.
Against it, that.
Well, Valerie, so Valerie was like my artist, and but so what happened was, so because he was the support act, they said, hey, we got the after party happening at Crown. What was the name of the club?
Next Blue.
Next Blue.
Just roll it off real quick.
I still don't even
It's all coming back, man.
Yeah. So, shout out Adrian Charlotte, man. Adrian. He used to run that night.
Adrian Charlotte. Blast from the past.
Yeah. So we get to the club and all we see, I don't know if you remember like Next Blue. So when you walk in, you saw the dance floor in front of you, but then you have like the VIP booth upstairs, like going up the stairs. All I remember seeing was when I walked in, everyone was like just kind of crowding around the entrance. And there was one of Ja Rule's guys that was standing like on the staircase, just going, she's coming up, she's coming up, she's coming up. All right, this is where it gets crazy. Yeah. So Israel walks in with his girlfriend at that time, right? And so he said, all right, come on, Markia, let's go up there, right? And so he stops us and he says, hey, I know that you're the support act, but she can't get in unless she shows her breasts.
Wow!
Right? And
shivers.
We just said, oh well, good night. We ain't going in then if that's the case, right? So we just went back into the crowd.
Yeah.
Ja Rule gets there, right? And this is like in the height of Ja Rule being Ja Rule.
Yeah.
And he gets in there and he goes up the stairs and someone gave him a microphone.
Oh, man.
And it sounded like drunk karaoke for the whole night.
I know what you're talking about because I was there. remember they cracked it because they started playing Eminem music?
Yes.
Security guy came down or something.
Went up to the DJ box.
It was safe. I think it was safe.
A dry or a track. He actually broke the record or something.
Wow!
It was safe, was it?
Because I was working at Hit that Monday, and I was doing with Ken Walker. And so when I got to DJ there, I had a big thing over there. Make sure you don't play any Eminem to Dre.
Yeah, man.
Wow! Because he had the after party there. He came there after that. And I wasn't allowed to play anything like that. Like, and then we heard what happened in Sydney or something. Like, he actually went up over there and he just...
I remember DJ Seth, man. The last song that he played was the Eminem track, and everyone... Steph's like that, man. He's like, okay, no worries. Last time he cranked it up, he scratched it in, bang. Everyone came down, I was like, okay, no worries. Drop the bass. There was no booba bass on that
one. The crazy thing was, Ja Rule spent like an hour on the mic just acting the fool. He's spraying champagne into the crowd, doing all this crazy stuff. As we're leaving, all I heard him say is like, yo, who got weed, man? I need some weed. Bring it to the VIP room. So the story goes is that they act an absolute fool like in this VIP section.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah,
they took a whole bunch of people back to their hotel and they tried to break into the pool.
Yep.
And the hotel kicked them out.
Yeah. Sounds like Fire Festival.
This was the start of Fire Festival, wasn't it? Where you got the training for it. But yeah, man, that was an interesting thing. Because at the time, I looked up to Ja Rule and I was like, man, this guy's awesome. Then when I saw that, I'm like, oh, this guy's a dick. Yeah. Like, I'm not for this at all.
It's disappointing when you come across people like that.
Yeah, it is.
You have a perception. And then you see them and you're like, oh, not so far.
Yeah.
So
that's how I felt. That's how I felt about Casey and JoJo, to be honest. They came to Melbourne. To the Metro.
But we did the support with we were dancing with KPS because KPS did the support. And I remember that, and then like their voices from backstage, powerful. But then you see the antics later, and you're like,
In their defense, my wife toured with them for 2 months with Boyz II Men and them, and they were so good to her. Like took her under their wing.
Oh, nice.
And they're really, really kind to her. Yeah. But I said to them, how could you tour with? I know Boyz II Men were also kind of womanized, Yeah. And those guys were kind of rough-edged. Yeah. I said, how could you were 17 years old? How could you go on the road with? Yeah. She goes, no, they were like my brothers. They all took care of me.
Yeah. Wow. Because they had that one incident in Sydney, like that one that went viral, where Casey like passed out during All My Life.
Oh, really?
Yes. I forgot the words. Didn't we?
That happened in Metro as well.
It did.
It happened in Metro as well.
It did.
Too much weed, or was it?
He was drunk. And so what happened was they did like a rehab show like years after the fact, and they actually showed this footage from Sydney of him then passing out like on stage, and it was during All My Life, and it was like I really love and then like you see like Georgia like grabbing him by his foot, like just pull him up, just drag him off the stage, man.
Oh no way!
Yeah. But that was probably like the worst though. Like I've seen
still my idol, but.
Still my
idol, man. Still my idol. Those guys are legacies, man. They'll never break.
Oh yeah.
Church-wise and everything, man.
Do you know what though? Sometimes it works out so much better than you think. Like I grew up in Noble Park, in midnight days, and I was influenced by this guy and these guys. Yeah. And I used to dance and muck around and trying to figure out a way to get into this DJ thing. Yeah. And my idol always has been Teddy Riley for music. And that seems like a long way away when you're from Noble Park, right? And to cut a long story short, 25 years later, I get to share the stage with him and Keith Sweat and CDB open the show.
That's full circle.
And you talk to him like he's your brother, like he's humble, like, hey man, and he's like, yeah, no worry. And that's like, thank you.
Good.
He comes across humble though, I think.
He is.
Yeah.
I remember like when Blackstreet like performed here, it was a few years, long time back actually. Now I think about it, probably about 8 years ago, and it was kind of, it wasn't like in the height of their popularity, but this was like, it was Teddy and Chauncey, because there's no Blackstreet without Teddy and Chauncey. It's like, I'm just saying, I know they tried to tour it without Teddy, can't do it. But I remember like it was the day after the show, they did the show at Track.
That's right.
And they said, I think Teddy Riley had like posted like a Twitter picture. He was at Chadstone just like shopping. I'm like,
that's right.
I'm about to go to Chadstone and find this dude. Because like, you know, you can really just run up to this guy and be like, oh my gosh, man, you're the dude that produced Michael Jackson stuff. And I ran around Chadstone for like 2 hours trying to find this dude, man.
I met him.
Did you find him?
I didn't find him.
He looks the same too. There's no age on him.
No age at all, huh? No aging whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a very similar experience. I don't tell all my celebrity stories. I don't save them for another pod. But I had another experience with Busta Rhymes.
Oh, come on.
I've heard the opposite.
Well, this is the thing, and this is why I always feel like sometimes these artists are just like a character of who they really are. Because like, so Busta, we went to the concert and everything, and he was incredible. He was incredible. Like just crowd, just control. And just voice control technique, breath.
Oh man,
amazing,
Crazy.
So after party is at it was called Odeon at the time. It's like level 3 now at Crown.
Yeah.
And so after party was there. Busta Rhymes walks in, man, and he was the most chill dude and just quiet.
Huge. Was he bodybuilding?
He was big at the time. I know he's like a bit wider now, but like this is when he was like solid. But he was just chilled.
Wow.
Didn't really want to talk to no one, just really quiet. And you just realize, like, sometimes these guys are just a character of themselves, you know what I mean?
The interesting story about that, Little John, we did a song with Little John a few years ago for Melbourne United Basketball, and he came into the studio and he was absolutely quiet. He goes, play me the track. Heard the track, writes it down, he goes, I'm ready. Walks in the booth and just freaking okay, all that. And then he goes, okay. And he's telling the producer, he goes, run the back, want to double that, put it on the left side of the like a machine.
Yeah.
Everything, and he was done within an hour. But every single element, he goes, just drop that 3 dB, put him in the Pam that, drop that line, and everyone was just like in awe of him because he was super
on his game,
And you look at him and you're like, nah.
His gold teeth.
You seen that? You seen that Dave Chappelle skit, right? Will this be claimed on my insurance? Yes. What? I literally. And Julie, you could probably attest to I think the same thing of Fat Man Scoop. Like, does he always talk? Is he always like on go? Like even when he like calls you, like
He's just a real man,
It's the real deal.
Well, I remember when I was 18 when I met him at the Metro.
Yeah.
And he's just calm and just nice, And his voice is exactly how it sounds on a microphone.
Right.
Yeah.
But
It's
just calm.
It's just chilled.
Sheesh.
And it's just nothing. There's no grace in shows, He's just another person.
Yeah.
And he sat with my parents and just sat with him. Like, just a Grammy Award winning artist.
Yeah.
Just coming to Oakley. I wanted to meet you, your mum and your dad.
That's crazy.
He recognises the talent in you, man. The light that shines in you.
Yeah.
First time I met Junior was at church. After years, I saw him, and I said to Mum and Dad after Mass talking for about 20 minutes. I said, "That guy is something." I just felt something special. Just there's something beautiful about him.
Great presence.
Yeah, it's just different from everybody else. Yeah. Real strong, beautiful character, great heart, and when you say you're not intimidated by by celebrities and all that kind of stuff, you're the type of guy that will step up and just go, if he called me that day, I would have panicked like anything to come up on stage that night. But you're like, what have I got to do? I'm there. And that footage of you when he runs out, you've seen that footage.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
incredible.
Yeah. And I don't think we mentioned this in the last pod, but I think I told you it's like off mic. Like I was in the crowd that night. Like I was actually at Winter Beats to be at Winter Beats, and I knew the lineup. And like so, when Fat Man Scoop got on stage, and he goes, "Yeah, this is my last song. I'm about to bring up a local guy." I'm like, and I'm always thinking, "Oh, well, who's it going to be?" Right? Because I've seen like Jay Sean pull up Israel before because Israel was producing for him, stuff like that. So I'm thinking, well, who's he going to bring up? And when he brought up Junior, here I am sitting like in a nosebleed section of Rod Laver, and I'm watching this. I'm like, yo, this is epic, right? This is epic because I know what this means for this scene, and to have someone like Junior get up and have Fat Man Scoop bring him up and just destroy that place, man. That was a moment.
And I think I told you what was the backbeat for that? The instrumental?
Deep cover.
Deep cover. He played only a second of it. He goes, Knuckle, play the song, and I only hear. That's all I heard. I didn't even hear the bass line. I just heard a snare drum and a hi-hat.
I can hear.
That's all I heard. And then I walked out onto stage, and then doom, 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 and then bang, it was on.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, oh my God, I actually have to do something now. It was surreal for me because as you're walking through that race, you can hear now DJ Nino Brown playing his track, and it was just now you're like, okay, I'm walking to the side of the stage. Now you've got 20,000 people sitting in the stand, and like, okay, this is going to get real. I'm going to get onto the stage now, and I'm standing on the side, and I remember it was my first time after a year holding a microphone, and the guy, the backstage manager's like, and I'm like, okay, I'll go out now. He goes, no, stop. I was so nervous, but he goes, now come out, MC Junior, and I walked out on stage. And then I saw everybody in the front row and all how it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. Yeah. I actually never been scared, and I didn't show
That's
it.
the best time, man.
But all they said,
when your nerves take over, you go hard, man. You go really good. You do one of your best performances.
That's what you did to me, man. At Silver's that night.
Made you nervous?
Go.
He made you nervous.
Well, checked the mic. He gave him the mic. He's like,
Puppet was DJing.
Yeah.
Puppet was DJing. He was playing Miami, and it was a really cool break in it. And Michael's just give me the microphone. And now there's like all these people I know and just in the crowd. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to stand here like that. So I was just, I don't know what I did, but I welcome to Miami to the one, to the beat, like just to break it down for me. That's all I said. It was just something, okay, and everyone thought I was a rapper. I'm not a rapper. I don't even know what I was doing. I was pretending there's a lighting console next to the DJ console. So I'll be standing up there putting the lights up and down. Right? And they're like, can you play this song? And I'll tell Puppet, hey brother, this person wants this song, can you play it? And he's like, yeah, I'll play it. And I'm still going up and down with the thing. It was good times, man. But
Must have missed that.
it was these guys, Puppet, Dinesh, you know, if it wasn't for you, especially in the 90s, and you're part of like a whole bunch of DJs that actually set it up. Yeah. Like Seth was there, you know, but that whole midnight crew, man. Like I used to say this, and I said it before. When you go out in the 90s to any club, there's this industry standard. It's like you knew if you were going into Silver's, that's what you're going to get. You knew if you're going to Carousel, that's what you were going to get. Everyone had to be at the top of their game.
There wasn't many clubs doing it, man. Like the way
like Puppet said, it was really underground as well, you know, like all the music and all that stuff.
Man.
So it was
one of the best.
Like I remember when we used to DJ, there used to be like 3 DJs for the whole night. Yes. It used to be that, I remember that. And at one stage, just now it's like, you know, everyone gets like, just an hour, like 6, 7 DJs in one night and all that stuff.
Like Monsoon, just like 12 to 3, and you were able to take the whole place on a journey. Like
you just go with your own thing.
You know?
And you couldn't repeat songs.
When he came on, I was doing 12 to 6 at Metro Underage.
Yeah, it was a long set.
It was a long set.
So for the DJs, how, like, for those type of nights, who was like upholding that standard of excellence? Like, and how were they doing it? Like, was there someone like in the crowd like that was like saying, okay, that beat match was a bit out? Like, who was actually like monitoring that?
Just a DJ.
Right? So it was like
and the fallback speaker over there. So
yeah.
You can hear yourself.
So say for example, so like, because you know you said, okay, there was a standard of excellence that you know that was, you know, implemented for some of these nights.
Yeah.
Who was like, or how was that like standard? Like, how was that like implemented? Like,
I think we inspired each other.
Yes, that's right.
I think there came a time when we used to do our own edits.
Yeah.
So we kind of changed the game in Melbourne. Sydney was just pretty much playing straight out vinyl.
Yeah.
Where we kind of found a way to change.
Created your own.
Change things up a little bit. So I I think because we were doing that, everyone was like, oh, he did that, and I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So then you'd want to actually hear what they do, hear their set before you, and come on and do your thing.
Right.
It was like we sort of fed off each other and got
Do
an
something
inspiration.
new, yeah, that's right.
Like, so
And then
you-
guys that played at different clubs, you'd be like, oh, they play that over there.
Yeah.
So it was always, you sort of
Yeah,
knew
that's
who
right,
was
yeah.
doing what and where.
What's that remix over there? You know?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one before.
So you never had like anyone be like, come up to you after a set, like, yo, man, you need to step your game up, bro. That wasn't it. Like that never happened.
I mean, you get your patrons that go, oh, you didn't play my song.
Oh yeah, that's
you didn't play a song.
Yeah, we're not playing the nut bush
You get
during the
them-
set.
No, no.
Sorry.
Not really.
I think it
R&B
was.
club had the girl ask me to play Croatian music.
Yeah, okay.
This is an R&B night over here.
I'm sure I got that in the vinyl
she
crate
was-
somewhere. I'm sure I got that in the vinyl crate somewhere.
Yes. But no, I think like Puppet said, we just feed off each other.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So for you guys, so Puppet as well, I know that like at that time, like you were saying, every DJ had a sound,
Yeah.
right? Had their own like signature. How did you develop, like even when it was like things like creating your own remixes and things like that? Like what was the process? Like I'm trying to get more technical. Like how did you do it? I know like at that time, I don't know if like Pro Tools and stuff was like readily available or things like that.
I think for us, we got onto Cool Edit Pro. That was the that was what we used to get onto. So we would just go home, get the track, find a beat, try and re-edit the track so it would make it, more hype or give it a different intro and just watch people's reaction.
Yeah.
And be like, what? And then that just inspired the next guy. So it was like, how creative can you get?
Yeah.
And then you'd eventually get an a cappella and try and build a new track around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was
a big
was
thing for
it's
you
exciting,
guys.
man. We
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
love
You
it.
know what? They used to get us going on the program.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Because I remember, like, I think it was only in the clubs where I heard those, those those beat breaks and stuff like that, and you're hearing like
You had the
samples.
Fat Man scoops on the party breaks coming through. And,
all that stuff. Man.
That was like 2000,
Yeah.
the 2001
yeah,
period.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Oh yeah,
party break.
because it almost got to a point where, as a patron, you're like, oh, I'm waiting for that remix because I know when this drops,
exactly.
there's gonna be that break in between.
yeah.
It's like, is this like when was that remix of Hey DJ, Jeanne, and there was a beat break in there. It's like someone's gonna freestyle on this part. Just watch it.
That was it.
Yeah,
That used to be me.
just
That was
watch.
genius there. Yeah.
Melbourne got known for its difference, to other states, and then even with guys like Junior and RUDEBOY, you'd learn to work with your MC. So like they knew where the breaks were,
Yeah,
and they knew it was coming up, and you'd be like,
on you.
go.
Yeah.
And that's how it should
Yeah,
be.
that's
right.
Like you work together
Yeah,
during
yeah.
your set. So
And none of that was rehearsed.
no way.
No. But Junior just to say, okay, it's
You don't
coming
get
up now.
freestyles like
Yeah.
And go straight into it. Yeah.
I mean, it does change after a few drinks,
that.
but
Yeah, everything does.
usually it goes to
Addiction and all that.
DJ turns into JD.
I used to do the countdown for him though. 1, 2, 3, bang, he goes in and he used to bust around.
I need a lot of visual cues from Dinesh,
Yeah.
my cousin Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then he sort of like
You know the tracks,
what was
right?
coming through. Yeah.
After a while, you just know, okay, well, this.
It's basically good, knowing your music as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you need to know your music as well. And then once he got used to the music that we used to play and all that, he was just
Because the general club track always had, like, after the second hook, there was always like a beat break.
There was like funky mixes, wicked mixes,
X
and then all the
mixes,
DJs.
yeah.
There always used to be a little break over there.
Yeah.
And I used to play it for him on purpose because then others he wouldn't stop. Hey man, you're not playing me.
That was that, man.
No one's really playing third verses in a club set, are they? Like, no one's playing
Man,
third
some
verses.
don't even play the second.
Yeah, that's right. People's attention,
Intro, next track. You're on.
their attention span is so short. It's like
that's right.
I think Hit 'Em Up was the only song that played for the
end.
whole song.
Yeah,
Because everyone wanted to just, like, yell that last part of
Yeah.
the song. But that was it, really.
That was such a good album, good launch.
But then
on that
you
one.
work with some DJ that play about
audition.
like 20 tracks in about 10 minutes, like
Yes.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
I used to work with the DJ there, not dropping any names, but it's like, come on, man,
Are you going to mix it or not?
But that's the thing.
you're
like,
killing me over here. I've got nothing to play after that.
With the DJs back then, you all there's so many good DJs, but they all had their own style of playing.
Yeah.
And you would know when that DJ was on by the tracks that were playing or the flow. Like everything had to flow in a certain way, and you could tell. Like even as freestylers, when we used to dance, we knew who was coming on. We would, some of the guys would request what tracks they wanted to rip it to, and it's just that whole vibe that they create.
Yeah.
When did you start
that's
dancing?
91.
91, yeah.
Oh, like, no, I came here in 91. Pretty much end of 91, like early 92.
You were
92.
dancing well before that, though, wasn't it? Like, no.
I've got to tell the story of
Oh, really?
Muck
Yeah.
around. I used to
Yeah.
muck around with mates back in New Zealand.
I love.
I actually came here to do acting. I just fell into dance.
Okay.
One of my favorite performances that I loved when they did the house party first, like movie launch. We were at Wavy Gardens.
Yeah.
We went downstairs and we had the dance party.
Oh yeah,
Remember you guys danced before the movies come on.
Yeah.
And then the movie came on. People were walking in the foyer like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like we're just walking down the steps. As soon as you walk out from the movie, this whole nightclub comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And that was the ultimate atmosphere, man. That was wicked. I've never had anything like that. It's one of my favorite moments.
Way back when I met Philip, and I'll tell the story. I'll tell this real quick.
Take your time. Take your time.
Just can't live this one down,
So
man.
he was already a Melbourne icon. We used to go to Chevron to watch this guy dance and all over the place. So everyone knew who Philip was. Anyway, so I had my own little group, you know, Heath and Tyrone and some of the boys, and we went in this dance comp against Philip and another group. Who was the other? Stepmasters or something.
Stepmaster and Dion's group as well.
Yeah.
Dion's group. So that was at Mirrors.
It was at Mirrors in Dandenong. Mirrors in Dandenong. So
Yeah, that takes you back.
Oh yeah.
we came on with our white skivvies and MC Hammer pants and all that, and we did our thing. And then the next group came on, and it was pretty evident that you know, we weren't going to win. And then by the time Philip's group came on, we just wanted to like leave the building. And I think how they judged it was like crowd roar after each group.
Yeah.
So then everyone just kind of went quiet for us, you know. Let's get out of here. Anyway, after these guys won and we got humiliated, we went back to I think it was the kitchen where we're getting changed. And Philip comes in and he goes to me, I like your music, you know. Thanks,
Harsh, man. It's harsh.
Facts.
you know,
Music was sweet, man. It's like, that's a good music.
30 years later, you know, we're still the
hanging.
best of friends and stuff. So that's how I met Philip. He was humble then, and he's still the same now.
Gotta be, man.
Yeah.
Your skills are one thing, but your respect and your attitude's another.
Absolutely.
That's what I teach everyone I work with.
And Jared, this guy, right, I'm going to put you on the spot. So obviously, from CDB, your career has branched out into other things, man. Like obviously on The Voice as a vocal coach, Australian Idol at the time, on tour with Guy Sebastian, Kay Sobrano, Jimmy Barnes.
Yep.
How did you take that across from the 90s into what you're doing as a...
So after CDB, I did a record with Sony and went to America and recorded and spent a lot of time and money and effort into this record. And then the company I signed to folded and Sony put me on the shelf for a couple of years. So I was sort of languishing and thinking, what am I doing? Had invested, you know, all of this time and effort. And my brother had too. We both went to America to record. And I think I had written a song for one of my records and it was a terrible song. But I was overseas and this producer called me up and he goes, hey, this guy's going to win Australian Idol. And I think I want to take your song and give it to him. I go, okay, sure, take that bad song. It got on his album, Guy's first record, and it did, you know, well for...
What was the song?
It's called I For You. It says it's his worst song he's ever recorded.
It was on... It was...
It was shocking.
but it made the album.
Yeah, it made the album. But thank God, and it paid well for me at the time. But thank God that I write better songs now. But after that, started touring with him and became good friends with him. And then I think at the time Jimmy Barnes was touring and Mahalia actually at Crown at Mercury Lounge. I was there and Mahalia goes, can you come and see Dad play tonight? And I said, yeah. So he's got a 2.5 hour show and she goes, can you sing in the band tonight? I said, I don't know any of Dad's songs. I said, I'm R&B. I said, I don't know any rock songs. She goes, just watch my mouth. Just watch my mouth and when I step up to the mic, go, ah. And I said, oh my God. She goes, just trust me. So I stood at this freaking microphone with 2 other singers and I'm like, just panicking because I didn't know freaking K-Sound, working class note, I didn't know anything. Right. Yeah. And then she goes, and I'm like, just picking this freaking note. The whole show, 2.5 hours. And she goes, good, right? And then I step back from the mic, I step back. Yeah. She goes, and then Jimmy goes, you did great. Thanks for coming. I'm like, okay. And he goes, and then all of a sudden he goes, you know, a couple weeks later he goes, yeah, you want to come on tour with me? So a year and a half.
Wow.
Just took.
That's awesome.
Jimmy is such a nice man. So even now, he's a great-hearted man. he'll say, there'd be times where we have no work in this periods. He said, what are you doing now? I said, just finished this thing. And he goes, what are you doing for the next 6 months? I go, not much. He goes, then I get a call 2 days later from his PA. Jimmy wants to book you for a 6-month tour.
Wow.
Okay. Nice. And then one day he says to his band, he goes, everything you've been paid for your tour, whatever you've been paid for the past, he goes, double it.
Wow.
He goes, from now on you invoice me double. Because I've got enough. So his whole band.
He's always been
double.
like that, bro.
Wow. Yeah.
Even David though, because I did my first musical with David, and him and I became tight, and he was a reflection of that. Like
That's right.
humble, big heart, looked after the cast.
Yeah.
His dad even came on stage and did the finale with us some nights when we did Shout, and you can just see like where it all comes from, and like humble as pie, man.
So at that time, Gary, so when you did that album in the US and it folded, was there a plan B?
Yeah. Well, I went back to the States with this record. They spent $450,000 on this freaking record.
Wow.
And I went back. So Sony let me go after 2 years. I was going back and forth. Can you let me out? Oh, they go 80% override. I said 80%. No other record company wants to sign me with 80% override. Okay. Went back again. 40% override. I said no one's going to sign me. Anyway, a year and a half passed, and Dennis Hanlon said, you know what? Let him go. So I took this record. I owned it. Went to sing showcases in New York, LA. And did well, got good managers, and went. Jeremy Gregory and I were both going for the same deal. I didn't realise, right?
Yeah.
So I met this guy, James Dowdle, who signed Macy Gray. I sang the stuff, and he's like your songs, take it to a focus group. He took Jeremy and me to a focus group. And they said, Indian Australian or South African Australian. Like his look, Jeremy Gregory, and his voice. Like his voice and his music, but I don't know about the Indian heritage.
Wow.
So they thought Indian at the time in 2001. They said Indians drive taxis and own 7-Elevens.
Oh wow!
Right. So then I lost. I didn't realize until later. About a few years ago, my friend said in New York, he goes, they wanted to take your album for Jeremy and use some of your records for Jeremy, and I didn't let them.
Yeah.
So we sort of pounded the pavement, my brother and I. We went to and we'd have to go out to Canada to live for a little while. While we went back to LA and New York and. Got Maya's management came on board and all this stuff, but just about to go close, and Stevie Wonder got involved, and it just came close every time, and then it just fell away.
Yeah. Wow.
So then I came back here, and I'd have to give up. Living over there is expensive. There's no work. I was in the middle of television stuff, and I said I got to just leave. I got to go back and work to pay my mortgage. Yeah. So I came back and started doing more TV stuff, and I just enjoy working, man. I don't care whether I work at a prison. Anywhere, sing for 5 people or sing for 100, doesn't make a difference. We're blessed to work. So
The reason I ask is because, of course, the music industry is such a fragile industry to kind of do it full time or even try to make a career out of it. I know that you're a man of faith as well. Were there points in the journey because it felt like almost like you would do one thing, it wouldn't work out, but then like a door would all of a sudden open up. Just describe your faith journey in that aspect. And just so people can understand like what that was like for you, what the challenges were that you faced, and to get to a point where you've said, hey, I've had all these things happen to me and it can only be because of faith.
It is because, even the Stevie Wonder thing, a friend of mine called me and I was going through depression. I was 29 years old. I think all of these things had led up to it, and I saw a lot of faults in myself, and I thought, I'm a failure as a man, not as a musician or anything, but I saw my own humanity and I thought, that's not good, right, from childhood. So I started, looking into myself and seeing all the problems. And anyway, I said to Jesus, I said, I give you my heart, mind, body, soul, and will after 5 months of depression. And this peace came over my life. Right? And my friend at the time had said, Stevie Wonder wants you to come to America and he wants to know if you play guitar well and because he likes your music. So my friend had taken my music into his band backstage and they were all playing their demos to Stevie, playing their demos. And then this guy goes, I got a record to play. So he puts it in and the band went silent. They heard 1, 2, 3, 4 songs. And then the band said to Stevie, is this your new record? Stevie goes, no. It's a guy from Australia. And the band started laughing. They go, oh, Stevie Wonder ripoff, Stevie Wonder ripoff. and Stevie goes, no, just tell him I'll write for him, I'll give him a deal. So then I had that bad 5 months depression. Yeah. So after I came out of the depression, I said, God, if you want this to happen, I think I've lost every opportunity. I'll close the doors. But if you want it to happen, make it happen. Yeah. And a few days later, I got a call from LA saying, Stevie wants you to sing his daughter's birthday. Can you come? I said, yeah. Awesome. I said, when? Friday. Boom! Got because everyone had to wear white suits. We all wore white to this white party, 16th birthday.
Yeah.
And I didn't take an instrumental because I wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
So as they were saying, thank you for coming, but thank you for Gary for coming from Australia. I'm feeling smaller and smaller and smaller. And then he goes, your present is for Gary to sing for you.
That's crazy.
So I said,
Stevie Wonder.
That's crazy.
I grabbed his wife and I said, can Stevie play piano for me? Because I haven't got an instrumental. She goes, Stevie, can you play for him? He goes, yeah, what do you want to sing? I said, a song for you, Donny Hathaway. So he plays and I go, I've just come off the plane, man. My voice is, I go, lower. So I said, lower. He goes, I go, yes. So I started singing and he started singing harmonies. He's played beautifully.
Wow. Yeah, oh man.
And the first couple of seconds was my heart went, I'm playing with Stevie Wonder. But then I thought, no, I'm here for this 16-year-old beautiful child's birthday.
Yeah.
Sing for her. It's not about him or me. It's about this beautiful girl.
Yeah.
So I sang for her, and then his brother goes, because I wasn't a fan. I'm a fan. I love him to death, but he's a good man and he's a blessing. So I honoured him as a man rather than a hero.
Yeah.
And his brother goes, I see the way, I want you to keep in touch with us. So that's only God can do these things. And every day I say, God, let your will be done in my life. And that's how things happen. Otherwise, nothing would happen. Anyone can do the jobs I do on television, I'm touring. Not anyone, but anyone with the ability. But it is only through God's grace and providence that I get these jobs.
Yeah.
And the minute I think it's for myself or for my ability, then I'm gone. I'll lose the jobs in a second. I'll lose everything. Yeah. And I'll be humbled.
Yeah. And you're a dad for the second time.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Bags under my eyes. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
The good fella. 2 weeks old.
2 weeks?
Wow. Sleeps all day, wakes at night.
Oh, true artist.
Sounds like a musician, right?
I wanted to ask Gary, after the second album, was there enough material, or was the third album ever in the pipeworks? Or
CDB?
Yeah. What sort of happened around that time that didn't lead to that album, or obviously you guys were doing different things and heading off different ways, but was that ever sort of planned, or?
It was, because Andy left the group second album.
Right.
We forced us all to write. So it just forced us all to go, oh my gosh, really sharpen up really fast. So Brad started writing, Danny started writing, and we compiled a really strong record.
Yeah.
And then Jude joined the group, and we had a great manager who got us in touch with Julian Lennon's people and Imogen Heap's people, and we got a deal in London. So we had 50 dates with freaking Take That, Backstreet Boys, Boyzone, all these guys. And Jude and his girlfriend got pregnant.
Oh.
So at that time, Andrew just left. We had to redo all these things. We had to recut all these vocals, and we were tired. We were 22 or 23. Yeah. And we were just I was like, we're going to have to move to London for 2 years. Jude's going to be away from his baby. Yeah. We threw it in, man. We didn't even think. We just go, you know what? It's too hard.
Was that 99?
It was 99. And we had Harvey Goldsmith, I think, like the biggest promoter in and the 50 dates with this booked. Yeah. And a record deal. Yeah. And we just went, nah, too hard. We're so stupid. So stupid. And Boyz II Men at the time said we were the best male group in the world at the time. That's what he said about CDB when we did the support.
Boyz II Men?
Yeah.
But we just thought it was too hard. We're so stupid.
No, you just don't know.
I think you guys had the Good Friday appeal.
Yes.
I'm just coming off and I was watching. First time I seen you guys before, I go, what Jude's here? I didn't know Jude was part of CDB. I was like, oh my God. I was freaking out because I was trying on the Wiggles outfit. The dog. I was standing behind his head.
Wait, you were performing there as well?
Yeah, we did a 60 dancers, Essendon dancers.
Yeah.
And we did like 2 rappers, me and my mate G.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was we had laryngitis, man. We both practiced so much that we had laryngitis on the night. I think we were nervous as. And then we saw you guys behind stage, and it was cool, man. It made me feel like home. Like,
yes,
we're doing it. You made me feel safe.
It's always good. Yes.
Opening act, I think it was. And then you guys come up. Yeah.
Too good, man. That was good. And you did that with us too.
Done a few Good Fridays.
You did so many.
Yeah.
Did a few of those, man.
Did you choreograph any of the CDB moves?
Everything. Yeah, everything.
Well, that's how because we used to compete against each other. And then when they got signed, my group split up. And then they're like, Phil, you know, Roger and the boys are like, can you give us a hand with Corey? We just got signed, da-da-da. So I said, yeah. So then we jumped on. Well, I jumped on with Midnight, and then we got the Midnight Dancers. And then we just started doing all this stuff. So choreographing their gigs and choreographing the dances, and that just sort of just went from there.
How do you keep it, like, you know how the dance styles have changed over the years? You have kept at the height of it. How are you doing that? Like, what do you...
Oh, geez. The styles have changed. Yeah. I've pretty much kept my style, but I've modified it. But I've kept the foundation. Because if I don't keep that, then I'm not true to myself. So I've kept my style, which is, back in the 90s, everything was power moves. Everything was like full-on power moves because you had, you know, big movements, big choreo, New Jack swing.
Trinity.
It was, all of that, right? All of that.
But you made it look easy, though.
Yeah.
Your flow looked like you weren't trying.
Legs
I gotta say
That's the
man.
difference.
I tried to do it a few weeks ago. I just stiff it up. Sat down,
When I used to pop,
man.
when people used to pop like you, right?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Like
man.
arthritis
Randy
everywhere.
as well.
coming through.
Randy was great, but man,
No, it
really
was
took my
just
heart
flow,
from
man.
it. Yeah.
It's the same with writing songs.
Yeah.
And I always say, I write a lot of quotes, I write a lot of positives, and I always say, no flow, no go.
How do you keep your physical health, man? Like, it's
You've always been like that.
You just
brother.
push it. I only know two speeds.
It's
It's either
been good
200% or it's stop. I can't do in between. So it's either you push it and you work hard and you have that sustainability.
Yep.
But if you go on like spurts, you're never going to get that.
Okay.
But with choreo and everything, music's changed, style of music's changed.
Yep.
So the feel of the music's changed, so the way you choreograph changes with it. Like back in our days, we all used to dance on the beat. Everything was about the beat. But nowadays, a lot of the choreo is on the music or on the lyrics.
Yeah.
So I will try and mix it. I think...
It's like interpretive, really, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's funny because like even just... Like, how do I say it? Teaching, because I've taught so many years, a lot of dancers don't listen to the intricate... Like when we're producing music, we have all the beat, the break beat, the back, this, that. You have every little sound in it. But they will just hear, or a couple of little accents here and there. So when I break it down, I'll play a song that we might be doing in class. I'll go, cool, now just listen. And I'll dissect it with my hand. And I'll just play this sound, da-da-da-da-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum, and I'll do that. And when they physically see what I'm doing, they can match it with what they're hearing.
Right.
But when you, as a choreographer, go, cool, so we're on the ba-da-da and da-da-da, they're like, what are you talking about? I have no idea. But as soon as you physically play it, and they're like, oh my God, I can hear. Jeez. So you've got to find a way to break it down.
Yeah.
But you've still got to challenge yourself. As an artist, Gary would know, as an MC, you would know you've still got to up your game because you're competing against yourself.
Yeah,
you're competing with others, but if you're competing with others, then what you're doing is you're playing their game. You're not playing your own game. Do you see what I'm saying? So you're subconsciously giving them power, taking away from yourself because you focus on them. I always say just be aware of it, but figure out how you can up your game with what you're capable of.
Did you ever do comps as well?
Heaps.
Yeah. With the crews and everything, like...
Well, with my crew, was basically 92 was our big year. And then 93, we sort of split. But I've been working with a studio in Bayswater called Outlaws, Dancer's Edge. And it's a massive cheerleading. So the whole bring it on sort of a vibe. They have that here in Australia. And I got asked to come in and choreograph a hip-hop routine. They have jazz, contemporary,
crazy,
and pom. And they didn't have a hip-hop. So they said, Phil, can you come? And so I said, yeah. All right. We had nationals, which is your first main comp. Yeah. And I just said it was another comp. So I choreographed the routine and they won. They were national champs for that year. I was like, oh, okay. And then what happened was it's a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then at the end of it, you have the major awards, grand champs, meaning out of all the different hip-hop divisions or jazz or whatever, grand champs is whoever got the highest score out of the whole weekend. And we missed out by 0.3. And then I see these guys walking around with these awesome like bomber jackets and everything. That's what you win. It's like getting a ring, but you get these massive bomber jackets. And you know what I'm like, man. You know, from back in the day, I'm like, oh no, we got to up our game. So I saw that and they were like, oh, we missed out on grand champs by like, what do you mean grand champs? Like, we missed out on that by 0.3. I go, who marks in 0.3? Like, let's say 7, 8 out of 10, 9. That's how we used to do it. Totally different scoring system. Yeah. I go, we missed out on that by 0.3. They're like, yeah. I go, by 0.3. We missed out on that. They're like, yeah. I was like, oh no. So the next year I came back. I go, cool, I'm changing the name from Dancer's Edge, whatever it was, to DE.3. I go, DE.3, it flows. I go, and let that be a reminder of what you missed out on. So that became our drive. So for the next 5 years, we won every comp. We're grand champs 5-6 years running, national champs consecutively.
Yeah.
And the teens were 5. So I've always had that competitive, but you got to beat yourself. So it wasn't about competing with the others. It was about trying to set a new record, trying to beat yourself, trying to write a new song, trying to make a better song.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're playing someone else's game.
Yeah. Have you found now, like, that it's become, like, less and less popular to have, like, choreographed dancing in music videos, like, in comparison to, like, I mean, I remember, like, in the 90s, nearly every R&B and hip-hop, like, video clip had dances or some type of choreography of some sort. Even if it was just trying to get Mariah Carey to do, like, you know, just wave your hands, like, in time with everybody else. Like,
maybe I'm old school, I don't know. But what I've found is back in the 90s, even the 2000s, the style was different. The substance of the video clips was different. The choreography was different. Excuse me, like we would wait for Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson,
Missy Elliott.
Like all these artists, you would wait for that song to come out to see what the choreo is going to be and this and that. The choreo of today doesn't have the same, I don't think it has the same feel. And a lot of the choreo of today is being diluted and trashed in the sense of you sell yourself. There's no class. It's gone from class to us. Once you go, that's how I say it.
Yeah.
Once you go from class to us, you can't. So no disrespect to Mariah, but when she first came out, classiest woman on earth. Right? Then when she split with her husband, her music changed, her style changed, and she went from class to us. Now you can't make that comeback. You can't.
Once you cross that line.
Once you cross that line, you're done. So a lot of the choreography of today is different. It's a lot more intricate, but it's also a lot more. They push the limits for the wow factor. And they go for the, like, you know, coming out and dancing half naked or totally naked or this or that. You know, I'm like, cool, but where's the substance? Where's the soul?
Yeah, because I think, like, back then there were, like, a lot of artists that pushed the dance element to it. But I think now it's not like Chris Brown that really puts, like,
he's amazing.
He's incredible.
Chris Brown, Usher, all of them, they still keep it real to what it is. But then you get some of the other rappers and other artists, depending on what they're rapping about as well.
They just don't really, like, all I see is, like, especially all the stuff that my young guys show me. It's either, like, all just, like, strip club videos. Or it's just, like, just hood street videos. And there's no, like, in between. But I remember, like, you know, back then, nearly every R&B artist was doing some level of dancing. Even if it was just, like, like New Edition, just trying to keep, you know, just doing, like, the Temptations type thing, right? There was still some level of choreography. But now, there's absolutely none. And so there's no, like as a dancer, like, who are the artists that you're looking to now to say, okay, we're trying to look at them for the choreography now?
Well, Chris Brown would be one of them. Usher would be one of them. Missy Elliott, definite. She's always, her music always sets the bar. So, you know, to be on a Missy Elliott tour, you got to be, like, you got to be top of the game. Same with Michael Jackson. You know, look at Shannon from Australia, a mate of mine, got into, this is it. Like, that's the bar. So that's why, as a dancer, everyone wanted to be with Michael Jackson or with Janet Jackson to perform with them. But nowadays, I'd say your Chris Browns, like your Usher, that, but there's really not that.
There's not many, huh?
Beyonce, definitely.
When she puts out stuff, when she really puts out stuff, really,
But
like even Amari now stopped dancing. Really, he's just kind of,
and he was cool.
Really,
he's just like, I mean, he makes really great music now. But I think sometimes they kind of equate it to, like, oh, I'm not B2K anymore. So, like, it almost feels like you kind of graduate from it instead of trying to do it. I think Usher, I mean, you 40 plus trying to do backflips. I don't know, man. Like, that's a bit much. Like, last time I saw one of a kind. Because last time I saw Usher was at R&B Fridays. And you can kind of tell that he's older now. He's not pulling off his shirt no more. He ain't doing other type of stuff. He's like kind of, he's moving.
He's enjoying it.
Yeah, he's not like he used to though. You know, not like him, doing backflips off, one platform to the other. He's not doing that type of stuff no more. So I don't know if it's just something that just came with age, where you just kind of said, well, that's what the young guys did. We're kind of older now. I don't know if we're going to do it anymore.
But see, in saying that too, like, you've proven your point. So, like, cool, I'm just here. It's a gig. I love doing what I do, but I don't have to do that backflip because I know the crowd's going to rock up. So when we start out, we're trying to prove a point. We're trying to get ourselves established. We're trying to get our reputation established. So we push that boundary. We push that creative edge. We push those songs. Once that's established, and you know you've got that crowd pull, then you tend to become complacent and content. And you're like, oh no, we won't do it today because they're still going to rock up anyway. Do you see what I'm saying? But people still rock up because they want to see those moments. They want to see those little things like that. They go, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. This. Yeah. So artists, it's a tricky place to be in. And I always say to my crews, don't get complacent.
Yeah.
Don't get content. Don't forget your foundation, because that's what gets you to that point.
Right.
It's like a building. If that foundation is not set, you look after it. But once you get so far up in the industry, if you neglect that, it's going to be like a little crack. And while your head's in the clouds, that little crack's going to seep up the side of that building, and everything's going to come down. So you've got to nurture your foundation. So for me, this is my foundation.
Right.
So I mean, you saw when we walked in, right? That love is automatic because that's history, that's foundation. And you can't take away from that.
Right.
Whereas people of today don't all have that to a certain degree unless they've had that history. This is 30 years here. I've been here 30 years.
That's something I think of as well, because like, I mean, I always equate it to like, because I'm an artist, I equate it to artistry because like I said last week to these guys were my foundation. And so as, you know, because of that, I'm able to do what I do, but then I would be, you know, remiss if I did not pass on that same knowledge to the younger guys that I also work with. So it's almost like this flow-on effect where I'm saying, okay, I'm trying to build into these guys now. But from the dance industry, I remember probably being an artist in early 2000s, and you could not ignore dance. No. Like, you could not. I mean, it was just so big. Like, everyone had a crew. Like, I felt every artist had a crew. Everyone, like, we'd rock up the club saying, okay, you got the routine? Because someone's going to pull up, a circle and we go 5, 6, 7, 8, let's go. Right? And it was to that level that dance was there. Was it a thing that people lost interest, or was it that the artists stopped having interest in choreography, or like, how do you see, like, has it evolved now? Has it, like, what's the popularity for what you do now?
It's evolved heaps.
Yeah.
When you've got shows like So You Think You Can Dance come out, they just catapulted it to another level.
Yeah.
Like when that first came out here, I was teaching at the space on Chapel Street, and I was getting good numbers.
Yeah.
Like getting really healthy numbers.
Yeah.
And I jumped on the first season. I was asked to, I was screen tested to be a judge, almost became one of the judges. But, and I was doing the countdown tour then. So I got flown into Sydney twice, and I'm in there with the rest of them. But then, didn't miss out, but still got asked to choreograph. So I choreographed on the first season.
Yeah.
But because of shows like that, that puts it into everybody's homes. Now, unless you're going to a club or you're going to a comp, it's not in everybody's homes.
That's true.
Yeah, so the awareness isn't there.
Yeah,
but once the awareness is there, and reality TV now, especially since that took off, is just everything. X Factor, Idol, The Voice, like all these other shows, even Survivor, Big Brother, blah, blah, blah. 90% of your stuff these days is live TV, whatever it is.
That's true.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Technology, I think. The whole thing.
And I think it's coming back, bro. I actually think that there's a time that a new that is coming back. A new 3-piece boy group, or 4, like really.
People are getting sick of it as
totally.
well.
Because there's no groups.
There's enough you can take just watching, sitting at home and just.
But that's what I'm saying.
And you need to get out and then just do stuff like.
It's the same way that vinyls come back.
It is. Yeah.
In the late 90s, it died off. CDs came in.
There wasn't.
And the last 10 years, it's just like unbelievable.
But everything comes back full circle. Even fashion. You know, there was late 90s, early 2000s when bell-bottom jeans and all that came. That's from the 70s. Everything has a history but even music, and you know as a producer, there's a lot of artists today that will sample artists of back then. But this generation doesn't know about it. They don't know their history. You know, like I've played a Janet track in class and they're like, oh, who's this? I'm like, Janet. They're like, Janet. You don't even need to say Jackson. You don't even need to say. And they go, Janet. I'm like, Jackson. And they're like, okay. Michael Jackson's sister.
When you play them the actual track of the original, there's another original of that original. If you know,
that's what I'm saying.
They look at it like, nah, that wasn't it. Do you know what I mean? But
like even my
think that song was originated.
The original one,
Like today, like
they don't all know their history.
Decades.
They only know what's now. But the dancing is massive compared to the 90s. Like back then, comps were in clubs. You'd have 3-4 weeks of heats, then you'd have a final. Now I've been judging all the major hip hop comps in Melbourne and Australia probably the last 15-20 years. But you'd have like a crew of like 30. And you'd have a massive event, massive stage, full sound, full setup, judges from international and local, and it's all like boom, it's a once a year thing, or there's like 3 or 4 comps. So and then from there you go to Worlds. You know, like my team, I've taken them to Worlds 3 times.
It's so good.
So it's like that.
When you were at the space, did you work with Tim-O-Matic as well?
No, I've met him a couple of times in that. I haven't actually worked with him. But Yeah, and haven't carried for him or anything like that.
Oh man,
But nice guy.
Yeah, I know he was there. Cause when he was on So You Think You Can Dance, I was producing for him.
Right.
And so this was before he actually got his break. I mean, well, as an artist.
Yeah.
And he was on that show, and he didn't win. He didn't win the show, but I remember the day after he got kicked, like he exited the show. I don't say kicked off, but like the day he exited, he called me and he said, "Hey man, Natalie Bassett-Wake managers want to hear the music."
Amazing.
And so we're like, "All right, send him all the demos and everything." But it still wasn't enough for them to be convinced. And this was the most annoying part because like Tim is incredibly like talented.
Yeah,
he's a triple threat.
Yeah, right? Well rounded.
Yeah, and to not sign him at that time, I know it was probably a regret for them because when he went on Australia's Got Talent, it was a wrap.
But everything happens for a reason, right?
Absolutely.
I think throughout my journey, I've learned that.
Yeah.
You know, what doesn't happen now, you might not see it, but there's something actually around the corner that you're not ready for.
Yeah.
And you make decisions at the time based on what you know at the best of you. You're not going to make a decision with everything you know and go, "Oh, no, we'll just make a silly decision." You make a decision based on everything you know to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
So that...
Yeah, we're not all going to leave like a contract on the, like CDB did, right?
Stupid.
Yeah, but the blessing of that is, right?
Oh yeah, you're doing what are you doing now, man?
That we're doing the right thing by their team member.
Yeah, that's right.
And,
That's
you know,
right.
they know now for later on, "Oh, we ain't doing that.
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
Definitely not doing that. But just replace them. You know?
Yo, man, that's good, man. That's almost an hour and a half, man.
Yeah.
One thing, man.
Go ahead.
The only contract all of us have, man, is the streets. And honestly, this is where we all originated from. And if it wasn't for the burbs, if it wasn't for the people we respect, and if it wasn't for all the ups and downs and all the bad gigs and good gigs and, empty gigs and all that stuff, there's no way we'll be here today. You know what I mean? Through anything we do. Everyone here has had the same challenges and the same heights. One thing that, as an MC, I've always been low. Stayed on the underground because there's no point. I don't want to go any higher. I love where I am. I love my streets. I love my Dandenong. I love my hood, man.
Yeah.
This is home.
See, that's
I don't need to go further out because every time you go further out, you want to come back home.
You can come to St Albans, man.
You know what I mean? And honestly, it's so good to bring something from Noble Park, from Dandenong, through Hampton Park, through the Wicked Music days, through the Cool Banana days, through the New Hotel days, through the Storm and all that stuff where no one knew anything, home-based days, to bring that Australia-wide, you know what I mean, and everyone just to disappear and then come back to normal, like as this is our norm now. It's like we haven't left, dude. You know what I mean? It's just wicked. This is our dread, man. You know what I mean? This is our roots. You know what I mean? And I always will, 100%. I quit for about 12 years, 10 years. And honestly, Junior's the only... We hear that Junior needed backup as an MC. Who else is better, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ain't going to get no other young MC or anything like that to back you up 100%, man. Like this, MARKIA is the dude. I guarantee you, man, from my heart, through dead set, he's going to be the light for youth today to see the old school come back.
Absolutely.
And I'm guaranteeing you that through Marky, all your music as an MC, I always will support you, man.
Appreciate
through
that, man.
Any introductions, anything you need, through all you guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. These are all my spirits. You know, you just keep me alive.
Appreciate
you know what I mean?
There's
always memories that have not died from day one.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was such a good experience to see all of these grow.
It was a good era at that time, in my team.
As my respect to you guys, man.
Just the music, the vibe. When you guys came up and hooked me up, and I was like, wow, like this is crazy. This is from Melbourne over here, There's four guys from Dandenong. It's good.
You'll never get an area like that again, man.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, man. Yeah. When we all start from here and we have to work from nothing, your hunger is greater.
Yeah.
But when you come in and you've already got everything there, your desire is not as strong. So therefore you're more susceptible to drop it.
Yeah.
But when you know you're starting from here, the only way you can look is up. That's the only way you can go is up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just keep focusing on that and you grind.
One point you said before, early on, you said that that we all, doesn't matter what gig we did, doesn't matter where we came from, we all had a bed to come home to. Not many people have that. And to see artists grow out there and do one album thinking that they're going to be millionaires and stuff like that, and then drop so far, worse than what they were.
It goes to the head, some of them, you know what I mean? Like,
you forget who you are. You signed your,
like I've
when
seen
you
it with
sign your
DJs and all that
names,
as well.
when you
There's some
sign your
DJs
names,
that you
it's
give
your
them a gig
thumbprint.
and then they think
You know
they're
what I mean?
you know, right up there, and then the next thing.
As
6
soon
months
as you
later,
sign your name,
down.
it's your thumbprint, and that's
Like
what
you haven't heard about it
you're
at
always
all.
going to be, man. And you don't do that, man.
Be true to yourself. Stay honest. You know, be humble.
Yeah.
Then
man.
that'll take you places over there.
Do you realise it's really funny that all of us have lasted, 30 years in the
That's the
industry?
thing. Everyone's still operating
25,
at the
bro.
top level. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, bro.
It's good. Yeah.
I'm going to stop swearing with you. I'm also yelling.
It's that mentality too,
Yeah,
don't
it's
you?
still going. Yeah, I think it's just the basic, like you said, the foundation that we've come through.
Yeah.
Just but music-wise and everything, you know, I think that'll always stay with us.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's taking us, because like I said, man, at the moment, I don't listen to the new stuff anymore because there's no soul. There's no life.
Doesn't mean
I thought there was no life for MCs anymore, man.
doesn't
That's
mean
why I
that.
stopped.
Yeah.
I thought MCs was out of the game. I thought there was a digital MC out there, you know what I mean? Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
You type in a couple of words now and you hear him,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, next time on DJ, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at it going, man, where's that through? You grab the mic and someone introduces you, man.
Yeah.
You know?
As long as you got a story
Just
to tell,
give me a
man.
call.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? Give us a call, man.
Who would have thought you could still do New Jack Swing in 2021?
That's right.
Yeah.
As long as you keep true to yourself, you got a story to tell. Just
That's it.
be you.
That's
Yeah,
it.
man.
Don't worry about what they're doing. They're
That's the
doing
thing,
just.
man.
Stay
Trying to
rude,
be
man.
someone
You know
else.
what today?
You want to bring out your old turntables and just do it, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, someone else.
Yeah, that's
That's
right,
the problem.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. When I think about it, especially with yourself right now, you guys are doing the old New Jack Swing reunions, right?
Yeah.
It's just crazy how many people want to latch on to those memories, and that was what we created throughout those
It
years.
was that
man.
vibe at that time, in that era. It was it's just.
New Jack was not ready
You can't
to be
replace it. It's just-
exported
yeah.
yet.
People love
New
nostalgia.
Jack stopped for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not ready. It's going to be the next future of music, I reckon, man. The music that was done in New Jack was just sampling and editing and all that stuff. But there's one creation that you can never get, man. The mix down perfect. And there was always some level mussing around with the mixes. But that's what caused it to be live. As a recording. That's why I loved it, man. It was punchy, it was bouncy.
See, that's the thing,
it was like,
because
even if the breakdown came down and they stripped it away, it still sounded fat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the end of
That
the
was
day,
tight.
man, it's what you feel.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I always say to my crews or my dancers or
Cool,
students, I go, look, you could be on stage. You can have an artist on stage with 20 dancers and feel nothing. You can have one artist behind the mic and feel everything.
Yeah,
if
sure.
you don't feel it, they don't
That's
feel
a
it.
fact.
That's the bottom line.
That's a
it's
fact.
all about a feeling. You go to a show, man, I felt that. That was good. That was
Yeah.
good. And the clap,
Yeah.
if it was average, you'll know. If it was great,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So you've got to feel it. At the end of the day, you don't feel it, doesn't matter what it is.
I used to love seeing the sweat coming off the walls and the clothes making you The air got cut out, man. It was just too hot, man. That place was nuts.
We're nuts, man.
You know what's messed up about that? is that you get that, and then you get that, and then because you could smoke in clubs back then.
Yeah, man.
So all of a sudden now you're getting drenched in the sweat, and you're getting the smoke sticking to your jacket, and you get home and take off that jacket, and you're like,
Yeah.
that was
What?
nasty.
I got a girl from this. Come on, man.
Man, real quick, do you guys want to just plug the gig, the New Jack?
Oh yeah, that's on December 17 down at the Old Silvers, which is Jackson's Hotel. So
Dope.
looking forward to one of the original funk R&B places that's left in Melbourne, I'd say.
Who's playing that?
Yeah, who's playing on the night?
Myself. You got DINESH. You got Directs, Johan, NYD. We do a bit of a video set.
You got to come here, Gary.
Yes.
We got Sam from Sydney.
Really good.
Yeah.
Just the music over there. It's
Yeah.
just.
Good vibes.
I feel like I'm 18 over there.
Yes. So
Absolutely,
good.
just young. It's just brilliant over there.
Yeah, last week we all did a mix, right? We're going to do one today as well, but that felt like it came from Mercurylands, man.
Yeah, that was tight, bro. And that felt like we did a gig together, man.
It
First
did,
time,
it
man.
did.
Properly.
Absolutely. It was a reunion in itself.
Yeah. But I'm super proud to, still be in touch with people around the world who still talk about CDB and overseas.
Yeah,
They want their
man.
record. They're still playing the songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's homegrown Melbourne
Yeah.
New Jack Swing. And that's like,
Yeah,
that's
man.
never going to happen
Yeah.
again. But they're a
When
part
they
of
said
a-
when they said there was going to be no R&B in Australia, you guys dominated and slammed it and ruined it, and I love not ruined it, but you know what I mean. Like, you know what I mean? It's my revelation, man. It's my verse, bro. You really blew it up, man. You got ARIA winners. You got everything, bro. You guys are crazy.
It was good. Thank God.
I remember trying
I'm
to
still old school. I don't go
steal
too
your
much.
single from Craig, yeah. When Craig first got your promo, I think you guys did the launch at Metro. I think it was on Thursday night.
Yes.
I was like, Craig, man, come on. You know,
But it was-
no, and then I go.
It was only because of you guys, because every time record companies didn't understand us, the industry wouldn't play us, a radio station wouldn't do anything. But because we had our community that was supporting us, that's how we continued. But we got a
foundation.
It blew up.
And that's why
Blew up.
that's why now you can drop "Hook Me Up" in the middle
And
of
it
the
just
set,
blows up.
and it's still everyone's just like
blows up.
bang. That's our jam.
Yeah, it was good.
That's
They used to have dance scopes with Hook Me Up at the underage. Like they used to actually clear the dance floor.
Yeah.
When they used to drop it in and then like bang, you know, like full on. They used to go off over there.
That's one for you.
Did the Running Man.
They did the Running Man and everything. Remember upstairs?
Yeah.
We used
The
to drop
Sherlock
Hook Me Up.
remix. Yeah, good old Sherlock.
Get all the Indian and Sri Lankan boys who thought they were CDB and stuff. Yeah, go for it hard, man.
And everyone was CDB's cousin back in the day.
That was,
Oh, yeah,
everyone was
Oh,
doing it
my
somehow,
cousin
yeah.
is CDB. Which
Brad's
cousin?
my cousin, man. Brad's my cousin, man.
Hey,
Probably true.
don't forget the Sri Lankans as well, man. We had some Sri Lankans in the group as well that we could also.
And as well, yes,
Come on.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
We had an in-store and there's 3,000 people and my grandpa had lined up all his own lines on the side of the in-store and this record company lady goes, do you know that old man over there? Yeah. She goes, he's making his own line of people to come to him. I'm like, oh shit.
He's like, oh, don't worry, we're related, don't worry, he's one of us, it's okay.
Hey, come, auntie. Come. Yes.
Cool. I think we can wrap it, man.
Yeah.
I think we're
Thanks
good.
a lot, guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was really
Thanks
good.
so
much, man.
Thank you guys so
Give
much.
yourself respect.
Good to see you all again.
Yeah, man, we'll catch you on the 17th, yep.
Yeah, 17.
Definitely.
Jackson's.
Yes, man.
Yes.
Action Jackson.
Action Jackson. Yeah.